Google's AI just kind of killed podcasting, and they did that using something they made called Notebook LM, which is an AI powered research assistant, according to Google. So let me show you what this is. Uh, just look at this, okay? This is gonna be Google's post. So here's Notebook LM. Just basically notebooklm.google.com. Okay, you want to create a new notebook, and you can upload sources for the research assistant to work with. You can post a website URL, the link, and conveniently here I have the URL for a website that has a copy of 1984. Anyway, so I'm gonna copy that URL. I'm gonna paste it over here, okay? And I'm gonna insert. It's gonna do its thing, it's gonna think, and it's gonna come up with a summary of the information that's in the link I just pasted in there. So I just wanna show, so okay, it's starting. So the summary is about to pop up here. This excerpt from George Orwell's 1984 describes the totalitarian regime of Oceania, etc. Of course, again, guys, this is AI. This is happening on the fly, so it's not going to be spot on with everything. So it says it's an excerpt from George Orwell's 1984. I think this is a link to the entire book. But anyway, and then you generate a deep dive conversation, which is basically a mini podcast. Now, I'm not going to wait for it to load now. I have another, I loaded it elsewhere before shooting the video, just so I can... I want you to listen to what it's like, but this is what I did earlier, and basically it takes basically a few minutes to load. I took 5-6 minutes, I think, for it to generate the audio overview, and it's pretty much a podcast, two people talking to each other. So for all practical purposes, it's an AI generated podcast. So this still here says this may take a few minutes, no need to stick around. We will not stick around. I'm actually going to close out of this. This is the one I had prepared from earlier. This took, like I'm saying, maybe 5-6 minutes. I didn't really keep track exactly, but something in that range to generate. Listen to the quality.
Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive into a world that still messes with our minds, even though it's, fiction? We're talking about 1984, George Orwell's masterpiece. It's amazing how relevant this book still is, even all these years later.
Yeah, Orwell, he wasn't messing around back in 49 when he wrote this. Totalitarian regimes were a huge deal then, and 1984 is like his warning wrapped up in this, terrifying story.
Oceania, right. That's where it all goes down. And our main guy, Winston Smith, he's living through it, feeling the pressure every second. One of the things that gets me about this book is how real it feels, all those little details.
Totally. The way Orwell describes everything, it's like you're right there with Winston.
Especially those telescreens, always watching. Can you imagine?
How real the book feels? How about how real this podcast feels?
Like someone's always looking over your shoulder, even when you're alone. And that phrase, gives me chills just thinking about it.
Big Brother is watching you.
Yeah, creepy, right? Orwell even describes this one poster where it's like, the eyes follow you. But it's not just the creepy stuff. It's how he describes the city, London, all run down and falling apart.
It all adds to this feeling of being trapped, Like, there's no escape from Big Brother and the party. Everything's controlled, the news, even what food you can get.
So before we get too far, we got to talk about doublethink, because it's like the key to understanding how this whole system works. It's messed up.
It's wild, right? Basically, it's believing two things that completely contradict each other. Like believing something is true and false at the same time. And the party... they're masters of doublethink.
So
I'm gonna pause it there. Like you heard it, it's unbelievable. The what's the correct term? Cadence of the way they talk, the tone of voice. It sounds unbelievably natural. The breathing in, the inhalation, that's actually in line with real life. How a person would inhale as they're speaking, right? It's spot on. There's some normal human pauses in the way they speak. Of course, it's all AI generated, but that's the thing. So is it gonna kill podcasting? Not, I mean, No, people who listen to podcasts already for people they love, they're going to continue listening to that. But say you want to listen to a podcast about a particular topic or study material or whatever it is, and you don't want to like you don't want to you don't have a podcast that exists in real life about the topic that you're interested in listening to, you can just use the resources you want to create the podcast that you want to listen to and just play it and listen to it. So you can make a podcast about a topic that for which no podcast already exists using Google's AI. So I don't know, would you use this? It's really cool. The thing that got generated here is 7 minutes and 19 seconds long, but hey, maybe in the future it's gonna be an hour long, as long as any podcast you want to listen to long. Maybe in the future you can tell it how long you want the podcast to be. Maybe you can even control the nature of the conversation. Is it going to be like a casual, friendly dialogue between two people, or is it going to be people holding contradicting points of view about the information that you fed into it, and you can have them basically fight over it, or like get into a really heated conversation, one pro and one against the information that you loaded for the AI to create a podcast out of. So, I mean, what do you think of this? In a way, Google kind of just killed podcasting using AI.